The belief often embraced by many Christians about the imminence of the end of the era is contingent upon the occurrence of conflicts transpiring in, or around the region of Israel. Christians see these conflicts as signs that the end of an age is drawing ever nearer, and that they must prepare for it. As a consequence of the prevailing circumstances, concerns have arisen over the potential for Israel to experience fatigue in light of the multitude of problems it now faces. And the possibility exists that we may be unable to recognize happenings that are prophetically important while they are happening. Nevertheless, it is important to note that the conflict in Israel does not inherently signify the imminent demise of the globe. In point of fact, there has been war in Israel throughout its entire history as a nation, and for the whole of its tenure as a state. Israel's neighbors in the past, whether Egyptians, Persians or Romans, have always been its adversaries and persecutors throughout history. The ongoing wars are attributed to the theological belief of the Bible, that the nation of Israel has a unique and significant role in God's predetermined plan. And because of this truth, Satan wants to prevent God's plan from coming to fruition. Due to the influence of demonic animosity towards Israel, and in particular, Israel's God, Israel's neighbors have always desired Israel's annihilation. This hostility has existed throughout Israel's entire history, and it continues unabated to the current day. But regardless of who is in power, efforts to entirely wipe Israel off the map will never be effective. This is something that will never change. Those who persecute Israel will come and go, yet the persecution of the Jewish people will continue until the second coming of Christ. It is important to realize that the current state of strife in Israel is a reliable indicator that the end of the age is drawing near. It is widely acknowledged that the Bible contains prophecies indicating the occurrence of significant strife and warfare in Israel during the last period of time. The period of time about which we are speaking is variously referred to as the Tribulation, the Great Tribulation, and Jacob's Trouble. The Bible foretold that in the latter days, a sizable number of Jewish people will depart from their diaspora, and return to their ancestral homeland in Israel. The re-establishment, reconstitution, and reunification of the state of Israel aligns with the prophetic predictions outlined in the Bible. This miracle took place around midnight on May 14, 1948, when the provisional government declared the establishment of a new state of Israel. According to biblical prophecy, it is foretold that the Antichrist would enter into a peace deal with Israel, which will last a period of 7 years. This occurrence will serve as an indication of the beginning of the tribulation, sometimes referred to as the Great Tribulation, or the period known as Jacob's Trouble. Furthermore, it is anticipated that during this period, the construction of the Third Temple would take place on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Then the Antichrist is anticipated to breach the terms of his covenant with Israel, namely at the midpoint of the 7 years. When he enters the reconstructed temple in Jerusalem, he will blaspheme against the Almighty by proclaiming that he is greater than God. This will serve as a definitive indication of his genuine motives, so initiating a period characterized by unparalleled distress and oppression for the nation of Israel. This phenomenon will result in the country of Israel experiencing animosity and persecution from several countries throughout the globe. Consequently, Israel may find itself compelled to engage in armed conflict and face aggression from antagonistic Middle Eastern forces and governments. In the end, it will be necessary for Israel to ultimately accept the truth that Jesus is their Messiah, and come to grips with this reality. The current scenario in Israel might be described as one of upheaval and instability. Today Israel is being tormented, and her borders are hemmed in by enemies on all sides. Countries like Syria, Lebanon, and Turkey, as well as non-state actors like Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and Hezbollah, among others, are relevant entities to consider. Within the domestic sphere, Israel is now grappling with internal challenges pertaining to the mobilization of left-wing movements, which are being influenced by external players with the aim of undermining the democratic fabric of the nation. Once again, we see the impact of malevolent demonic sentiments directed towards the nation of Israel, as well as Satan's aspiration to obstruct the fulfillment of God's intended course for Israel. The prevailing animosity and prejudice directed against Israel in contemporary times might be seen as a harbinger of future events in the end times. To get insight into the events unfolding during the end times, it is advisable to closely observe Israel, a geographically compact and politically unstable country situated in the heart of the globe. Presently, Israel is subject to global observation, as it faces the threat of destruction from several sources. Consequently, it is imperative to invoke prayers for the attainment of peace in the region of Israel. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe to Grace to Prophecy Network.